Welcome back. New Mets Podcast 131. How not to throw. High energy games. Marco, welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you. Adam, welcome too.
Yeah, welcome.
Let's go. Yeah, let's go. Oh, high energy. I had planned actually to scream at the start of the show. Thursdays have no power over me. I'm done with this curse, and then I lost a ranked game, so I couldn't do that. I listened to an old pod episode in preparation for this one, which is sort of The Art of Throwing 2, which we did in the first part of about 8 months ago. And I was thinking, need some energy at the start of the pod, so I'll fake some energy for the viewers. Hope that's appreciated. So, how are you doing, Marco? Are you doing well? How's Dota treating you? How's life treating you?
Dota is stable as always. I am living the stable life. Gaben's trying to tell me I've hit my true MMR, and I refuse to believe the bastard, so...
Rubbish.
Fucking
you
rubbish.
You were higher when we were in Liverpool, in the team house, weren't you?
Yeah, in the team house I was a couple hundred higher. And I do think I can get back there, as I said last week. Some fucking subpar players in some games, and I'm committed to climbing. That's my positive spin on it.
Nice, yeah. I get a similar expression in my games, or I come away with a similar conclusion, where I feel like I'm playing better than the average person, so over the long run should gain a little bit. Having said that, I have been Divine 1 for quite a long time, so... maybe that's an incorrect conclusion, I don't know. Adam, you've been Immortal for a long time. Everyone forgets that you used to be like, whatever, Ancient 1 when that insane climb to godlike status began, but you've been chilling in the upper echelons for a while now too.
I don't think I've played a ranked game in a long time, though. Smiley face.
Yeah, that's how you do it.
No, I'm solidly in the Immortal, though. I would have to lose a decent chunk of games to drop.
Yeah.
That's true.
You have to play how many games to lose Immortal?
Were you saying I would lose every game? Surely I could win one or two.
You played a CM since you had that little break. I did see that. I think
that was bad.
Yeah.
That was Marco's fault because he wanted to play a solo game and he stranded me, and then I lost.
Yeah,
I think I was it was one of those cheeky day games, and instead of playing on EU at a normal Dota time, I ended up playing like a noon US game, which is not good. It's a lot of I don't know what the word would be.
Aggro?
Some aggressive
Degenerates?
Personalities. Yeah,
Degenerates.
A lot of mental instability. We can't say too much negative because I was in the game as well.
Yeah, that's true.
But there was a lot of anger, and I was like, I am not doing this again. I will wait till people get off of work before I try this.
Yeah. Well, that's fair enough. I played one ranked game today that was very frustrating, and I'll just go over it briefly and therefore begin the How of Games section.
But, again, you played a ranked game on pod day, so...
Exactly, yeah.
Are you surprised?
Absolutely not. I got exactly what was coming for me, but I honestly was willing to take a 0-3 before the pod today. I just wanted to play ranked Dota, and if I lose, which I knew I would because the curse is too strong, I was sort of okay with it because there's got to be a reason, and at some point I need to overcome the curse. I'm not ready yet, evidently from today's game, but it's on the horizon. I can see myself overcoming Thursday, and then I'm going to shout about it at the start of the pod. So there you go. This game I had a Grandmaster tier Undying. Talk about heroes to play 1,000,000 games on. Level 30 Undying in my game here.
Oh, man.
Yeah, crazy. And then he disconnected at 5 minutes and didn't come back. So that's always fun. We still had a chance because it was one of those where he DC'd. He got down to, I think, maybe a minute and a half and then came back because we had paused for him a lot. But the damage is done, and our Mars doesn't have a lane. It's a pos 4 Undying. Our Mars has just been laning solo, so he's really far behind. The enemy Weaver's really far ahead. Even with a DC, he shouldn't be this far ahead. So, for example, 12 minutes into the game, he's got lower net worth than the enemy 5 and 4, and he's got less than half of Weaver's net worth. So I don't know how that happens, even when your laning partner's not there for the first 5 minutes. Even so, I played pretty bad. It's one of those games, and Marco, you can understand this a bit. You play like a Puck or a Void Spirit, and you really should focus on your farm more, and it's one of those games where you run around a bit too much. I used to be more guilty of it than I am now, but a bit of a blast from the past in that sense, and then I was just underfarmed, and the critical fight, our Mars didn't have enough mana to cast Arena, which was really painful. We clicked on him and he was like 4 mana short or something, and we were like, oh god, and then they just wipe us and the game was lost. So that's the Thursday curse strong, causing someone's internet to cut out and then causing Mars to not have mana. Can't overcome that.
I bet the Dirge was a pod listener, knew what he was getting himself into and just thought, fuck it, sack it.
NMR assassin, yeah.
Yeah.
Did have 2 Puck wins on the bounce before that, and I had a Puck loss before that as well, where my Jug denied the Aegis on just a free Roche, which I haven't seen, I don't think, ever. I'm not sure I've ever seen someone deny the Aegis, other than in that video from back in the day before my time at TI.
Oh, what, you mean not on purpose?
No, he accidentally denied Aegis, yeah. So that was questionable, and then in the game deciding fight, he didn't Omni Slash. He just stood there right-clicking when he had Omni. And someone was really getting annoyed with him after he denied Aegis, I think RL Shaker, and he was like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, oh, you idiot, you just ruined game. And then Jug's like, oh, sorry, my finger slipped off the keyboard. What? So I don't know if that's just a troll or what, but apparently the reason he didn't Omni Slash is because his finger slipped off the keyboard. I don't know how that's possible.
Was that a really intense fight? Could he have been that panicked? Pressing T instead of R or something and just choking.
It's possible. I don't know. I'm not going to second guess it, but that was a unfortunate loss. Because it's ironic that I actually played better in that game than I did in the 2 subsequent wins. But there you are, sitting in Divine 1, 40%. So what's new? That's been my life for a little while.
What's new? You kept a percentage. That's good.
Oh, what, you mean I lost a game and it didn't turn into like a 5-game slide? That is good, yeah. That's true.
No, that you have a percentage still on your rank.
Yeah.
Usually it used to be Divine 1, I need 1 or 2 games to get back to a percentage.
Yeah. I mean, there's always next week. There's always next Thursday for that. It used to be 95% though, so that's a little bit sad. But in any case, there you go.
That's what you get for playing party games.
Yeah, I'm scared of playing party now. I run into Smurfs all the time, or at least the last...
You mean party ranked?
Yeah, party ranked, yeah.
Is Adam saying party unranked is deteriorating your ability?
No, party ranked, you only get 20 instead of 30. So that extra 5%, if you just played one solo ranked game, you would have popped the Immortal.
Yeah.
Or the Divine 2.
The Marco strat was player party ranked, so even if you lose, you still have a solo for Divine 2. That's genuinely a great strat. That's how you get to
I can't wait for you to get back to that 95 and to go full Super Saiyan try hard, like there's no tomorrow, everything on the line.
Yeah, but alas, that's not the case. There's something to be said about playing party ranked and that affecting your ability to play ranked, because definitely the times where I feel most confident in solo ranked, and this isn't exactly a surprise, but the time where I feel most confident is not necessarily when I've played the most Dota, but it's when I'm playing the most solo ranked.
Yeah.
If I've been playing loads of games every day, but they're party unranked, or they're just unranked solo, the game's just too different when you go solo ranked and everyone's sweating, tryharding. You're out of your depth, even if you've played lots of Dota, and if it's unranked. Anyway, that's my games. Marco, how's your games been? How's your stable Dota 2 lifestyle going?
It's the exact same story as last week. So this has been going on for about nearly 3 weeks now. The literal stability, plus or minus 30 MMR, constant win-loss, win-loss. The trend has not budged. And it's got to the point now where it's happened a few times. 3, maybe 2, but it's happened a few times. I just go, yeah, I'm going to lose this game. Game 1 of the day, it's just a loss. I sit down, take a loss. And then game 2, alright, I know I'm going to win. Let's just play it and win. It's now just that stupid. I am determined to break the trend, and I will win 2 games in a row, and then just fucking quit. And just be like, I'm done. But it's been fine. I mean, the wins are solid. I'm playing well. The losses, I mean, yeah, obviously you can play better in a loss. Miracle probably doesn't lose the games I've lost, but they were never really...
Probably, smiley face.
Probably. But the losses, I mean, as long as I'm playing well, I don't feel too bad about them. I had a 16-5 Void Spirit loss. Just, that's hard to win. I had a game where Pos1 Monkey griefed from 5 minutes. 5 minutes in the game, he stood in the mid lane with me. I was Zeus this game. It's like, what's going on? Feed to death, then just sits in Fountain. And then it's one of those where he then plays at like 10 minutes by hitting a creep every minute. Just full grief, 4v5. Very hard to win ranked 4v5. It'd be easier if he disconnected, abandoned, and we got his gold. So, okay, you can't win those kind of games. AM, I'm about 0-6 when AM's in the game. So now it's about 4 times on my team. Fucking throw, just fail, epic fail. And I've actually lost against it twice, which is really sad. And one of the losses will come up in this episode about greed and the art of how to not win. So that was kind of sad. And then I played a 4 Skywrath for the tokens. I think if I was the mid puck, we win. My advice is to not go Dagon 5 first item. I think that was game losing on our puck. Absolutely game losing. This guy, to me, it's a grief. If like an ancient player played the mid and played it correct and really tried, as opposed to whoever this random immortal player was going Dagon 5, I think we win. Or if it's a legend player that listens on comms and does what you tell them and tries the hardest, I think we win. Like, it just, and that's frustrating because to me that's just a grief gameplay. Like, you're obviously a competent player, but you're playing in a griefy manner that is making us lose because you're going Dagon 5 and not contributing to fights and etc. So anyway, but that was the first game of the day, so I was like, yeah, it's a loss, whatever. Then Void Spirit win, then loss, then win. So it's all kind of, it's all samey. I'm still okay. My mentality's okay. If I was leaking going down, I'd be very unhappy, but I think the only way to go is up.
Wow. Excellent.
Famous
Thank you for
last
that.
words.
Famous last words.
Yeah. The only way is that. Adam, gameplay, Dota 2. We just played a game, but how's your Dota going?
Yeah, that game we just played, I got to do my favorite type of thing. Gameplay. Play Abaddon. Put things on people.
Yeah.
So it didn't matter if our safe lane Alk or your TA turned out to be the carry. I was going to Solar Crest and Lotus Orb them and shield them and pump them full of things.
And give them Vlad's Aura as well.
Yeah, so that was fun.
Classic come dine with me gameplay. Classic come dine with me gameplay.
And I think that's the type of gameplay everyone else wants on their team because they're like, man, this guy's shielding me and not himself. Healing me and not damaging the enemy. It feels nice.
Yeah, although you go underappreciated because I speak from experience that I don't think many players understand Solar Crest and Vlad's. So they just see it on them and they're like, that's cool. But it's like, if you see a Radiance instead of those 2 items, you're like, whoa, this Abaddon's got Radiance. Even though the Vlad's crest is way there.
I think we appreciated this game. We took like a Roche out of nowhere in under 20 seconds.
Crazy, yeah. That may be one of the fastest Roches ever at that point in the game that I've experienced myself. TA plus Solar Crest.
Plus
passive. Abaddon.
Plus Orba Corrosion. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Meld and Deso. And I think we had a little skirmish where we traded 1 for 2 of their heroes. And I'm like, we can just Roche. And people were unconvinced. It's like, yeah, let's just try it. And then it just exploded. I'm like, oh, okay. I felt so try-hard after that. Like, I felt so dirty. It's like, damn, we just took that in 20 seconds at like 19 minutes into the game or something.
No, that's alright. I picked TA in unranked versus Puck, so it's pretty tryhard. I only did that because he picked Puck, and that just is tryhard itself.
I just felt like the shot calling. Yeah, it was like, dang, we're really trying here. Let's take this Roche. It's like you're just like, we traded 1 for 2. Everyone's disperse and farm.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute, let's try this thing. And I was like, wow, what if I did that in a real game? How would that go? That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll be up for that. We should do games where in our guild we take it in turns to be everyone mutes himself apart from one person. So one person's like commander, and then just to see how it goes. I reckon Adam in command could be pretty strong.
I also never actually make any calls, so I was just like, I think we can Roche. That's about as strong as it's ever gonna be for me. So I don't know. It worked out. So last night I broke my GPM record and last hits per minute record in an ALK game. So that was very fun. That's the other type of fun I like to have. Other than putting stuff on people, it's also ignoring everyone and just hitting creeps. So, yeah, that's how...
That GPM you got's crazy, though. What was it?
1292.
That's redonkulously high. You don't see that in pro games when ALK has a free game. It's never more than 1.1.
And if I hadn't died diving the fountain, it would have definitely have been 1.3. So I was a little sad. I couldn't get the nice round number. And then I was thinking if I didn't gift 4 ags, like at the beginning of the game, I could have pushed it to 1.4 maybe.
Yeah, maybe. With the extra speed.
Yeah, because my... so I was farming against I was laning against an Ember mid, and he just didn't really... We, just traded. I don't know. He, didn't try and harass me and all, so I was like, this is beautiful. No one tried to come mid either. I feel like if he just went flame guard and just ran at me, I would have been bullied, but he didn't really do anything. So, I got 15-minute Soul Ring Radiance Boots of Travel ags.
What?
So then I give the first ags at 15 to Ricky. And then at 21, I give 2 more ags. I give him the Techies and Sand King. I got ags at 19 and 21, and I couldn't get them to come to me. So I was like, well, I'll just keep farming. And so I just give 2 more ags away. And then at 25, I've gifted the 4th ags. Then it's 29 minute Swift Blink, 32 minute AC, 34 Moon Shard, 38 Abyssal, and then I finished bots 2 and Ag Shard, just because that's the quickest things I could buy. But yeah, it's sorry, go ahead.
I'm just gonna call you out for being the next Owie 2000 who just abuses party games where you go on ranks and go, I'm the best player in this game by head and shoulders. I'll pick fucking Alchemist mid and just slay.
That's our strat. Is Pyro picks Ricky and I pick Alk and I give him an Ags as fast as I can.
Good.
Every game
for a unranked party game, just slicing noobs.
So I don't know if you were aware of this, Marco, but Ags gifted from Alchemist gives stats now. That's why it's so good.
That sounds new.
Yeah, so that's a change that they made that neither me nor Adam were aware of, but we were made aware of last game. Haven't verified it.
No, it definitely does.
Okay, it definitely does. It is verified now.
It's strong.
I would say that was 7.28. That changed.
Right. I think on some heroes it's kind of insane. Think about that on a Gyrocopter or a Ricky. Bonkers. Any core where Ags is core is going to be ridiculously strong. Even like a Puck. You'd love getting an Ags or a Void Spirit. Any hero that might build an Ags.
Yeah. Also, I gave Ricky his Ags 5 minutes before he got his Battle Fury. That's
pretty funny.
I just have so much fun playing Alk. And I went Radiance that game because the other team had a Monkey King. Because I had been going Battle Fury, but I think Radiance is actually faster to farm. And after I gave all the Ags away, I went Swift Blink just for memes. And it actually was more GPM than going like Ags AC or like a AC Manta style or something like that, because you had blink to go all over the map, and then the swift blink active like boosting your move speed and attack speed, like clearing camps so fast. Like there were like really no stacks in this game outside of ones that I maybe did for myself, and you just farm like crazy.
I'm waiting
Not
for
that
to
I
play
think
it
you
out
would
with
actually.
Adam. And
Yeah.
you go Midas, Battle Fury, Rady.
Midas.
Yeah, man.
Did we not play did we not play? Oh, I played one with. No, you weren't a part of that. I played one yesterday with Dynamic and Pod Stack,
Nice.
Fitful and Aesthetics and stuff. And that one, I didn't give away any Ags because we had a Hoodwink, a Jakiro, a Darkseer, and a Slardar. So it was like, not really anything I wanted to do or give. So I just went normal build. That worked out. Go Radiance,
Solid.
AC, Abyssal, Swift Blink, BKB. Like, I try to push off the BKB as far as possible. Because that's no fun. I think you can just take over the game after AC, BKB, though.
To the topic of the day, I don't believe there's any more housekeeping or mini segments to go over. So we can revisit the art of throwing in Dota 2. And like I said last time we talked about this, I feel like I'm an expert, and I've gathered even more months of data into throwing Dota 2 games. 2 came to my attention that I played this week that made me understand a new way of throwing, and that is to be too greedy while you're ahead. I'll set the stage, and then maybe you guys can come in with some general comments about this. This is a game that I played Puck 4, which already is a bit weird. This is farming tokens. And we're very far ahead in this game. We're about 7k up at 20 minutes, which isn't loads, but you're ahead. And we're even more up in XP. We're more than 7k up in XP. The enemy has a Wraith King, which is important, because we have a Razor and an Ember Spirit. So Wraith King is the scaling carry in this game, more so than our heroes. Obviously, Razor's quite nice against Wraith King. The enemies are a CM, a Shadow Fiend, a Shadow Demon, and a Tide Hunter. Wraith King's behind our heroes. The only way they can fight is a Ravage, pretty much. Outside of Ravage, they have very little going on. We have an Ember, a Razor, Slardar, Puck 4, ABBA, so really active. And the game goes exactly to script, right? We're crushing the game. Ember's doing very well, getting lots of kills, playing very active. We're taking over their map completely. They can't fight against us outside of Ravage. And even then, we're taking some relatively even fights with Ravage and then getting back on the map, crushing, doing really well. And yet somehow, at around 25... but basically 30 minutes, that comes to a head, and then we lose very, very suddenly. So we go from having a solid maybe 10 minutes of being up about 7 to 8k, 6, 7, 8k around that area, and up to 9k, and we're 15k up in experience at 30, so the lead's gradually grown, and then suddenly the game's over 10 minutes later, and we've lost. Wraith King is suddenly this beast. They have this Ravage spell, so what went wrong? And the answer is quite simple. Greed. Ember thought, I'm going to get an Axe after my Maelstrom Mules. Slardar thought, I'm going to go Echo Saber Axe with a blink. Our Razor goes Axe Halberd. That's our 3 cores, where the itemization is the most important. And you'll notice an item is missing from all 3 of those builds, and that's the BKB. And it made me think, what can be done about this? What leads people to think that they can get away with going these crazy items? And it's the false sense of security, the thought in your head that we're ahead, therefore I can go for luxury. And that's a massive pitfall, I think, in Dota 2 ranked gaming. And I don't know what your guys' thoughts about this topic, to talk about greed building and being too greedy while you're ahead.
It's not just a classic pitfall of not buying BKB. It's even finer because you're saying you're ahead, and it's because you're ahead that you think you can skip the BKB. And I think it's such a good point that people need to not do if they want to win. I mean, goes to Adam's point of playing for fun at times, and yeah, Ags is going to be more fun than a BKB, at least for for 10 minutes perhaps, or it depends how much fun you find losing or winning. But yeah, you can see why people do it, but if you want to win competitively, then you have to not get ahead of yourself, and BKB's good.
Yeah, it's so funny that when you think, oh, I'm so far ahead, I don't have to buy BKB, that means you're thinking of BKB as like a comeback item. And like, it's bad as a comeback item. Like, it exists to like finish games. Yeah. And so you've put yourself in the situation where you're in a good spot and you want to buy it to finish the game, and you're like, let's just put our foot on the brake. I'll go get a couple of other fun little doodads along the way instead of this put my, foot on their throat, finish the game item. Because imagine you have 3 BKBs and the Tide, like, when's the Tide ever going to Ravage? He's never going to, like, blink in and do it because he knows you're going to press BKB, and so he's just, like, useless. And in, like, in the case of your game. So
Who was the enemy mid, can I ask?
Shadow Fiends.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, so he's completely neutered by a BKB.
Yeah.
Like, okay, he blinks Yules you, and then you just press BKB, and yours goes, like, you don't die, and
Here's all the evidence you need for what you were just describing, Adam, about people viewing BKB as, oh, it's a close game, or we're behind, it's hard for us to fight, therefore I need BKB. People never think, we're ahead, I'll get BKB to win the game. So in this game, our Razor gets BKB at 30 minutes, so this is when we're still ahead. And then our Ember finally goes back for the BKB at 41. This is when we're already, basically the game's basically over. Our Slardar is on his way to an Axe. He's got a point booster and an Ogre Axe at 30. Then we start losing fights, and he ditches all that to finally get his BKB as we're losing Throne 42 minutes into the game. So Slardar even thought, well ahead, oh, go Ags. Then readjusted when we started losing fights and thought, now I'll go BKB. So you're totally right to diagnose this sort of completely backwards mindset people have towards BKB as a comeback item, it's close, therefore I need BKB to win a fight, to turn a fight. Oh, I don't need it when I'm ahead. It's so true.
Funny when you think about it for a Slardar. What does the Ags give you? It gives you a puddle. It gives you a lot of regen and armor. And it's like, you know what BKB gives you? You tankiness, you don't take damage, you just fuck people up. Like, why why not just go that instead of this Ags?
It's so weird.
Obviously, it's fun. You make a puddle. It's really cool. I really like it, but like, it's not as good as a BKB.
I don't understand why it's ingrained in people to shy away from BKB. Like you say with the Ags, Slardar, and I think a lot of heroes, people will play it and just have rooted in their head some sort of item build, or rooted that Ags is so great, or some item like Echo Saber is so great. And they just can't have taken a moment to think about the enemy team and gone, do they have magic damage? Do they have physical damage? Do they have critical disables? Do I need BKB? I mean, it's not a difficult exercise. And like, Ravage, Shadow Fiend, 100% magic damage. You need it.
Shadow Demon CM, like, even breaking stun, it's like
so much disable. You need it.
It's like, I mean, it goes without saying, like, I don't build BKB some games because it's unranked, or I want to, like, I'm specifically not doing it. And I know that it's bad. Like, sometimes you just want to play a chill game and you don't want to do that. But, like, BKB, if I'm playing ranked, you better believe I'm going to build that. You know what's fun? You know what's more fun than a puddle? Is BKB blinking in and two-shotting a CM or a Shadow Demon. And then the fight is just won because it's over and they can't do anything.
For sure. The reason people view BKB in this way is because they don't think, oh, this makes my hero stronger. They think it guarantees that I'll be able to do what my hero can already do. Because it means that you can't be stunned. Therefore, I can do all my stuff because I'm BKB'd. They can't stop me. But it doesn't actually make my hero any stronger. So people think when they're ahead, oh, we're ahead, let's become even stronger. I.e. get ags, get luxury items. Because they think that BKB will just let them do what they're already doing. And that what they're already doing is working. So I don't need a BKB.
Yeah.
That's the mindset.
But that's exactly why. Is you want to keep being able to do what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
It is strangely ingrained, though, because I think the masses must think of... And it's natural that you go, it's a defensive item, because what it gives you is spell immunity. It's defensive. I'm going to need it if I need to improve my defense, and it sounds like it's unrelated to any aggressive scenario or offensive scenario. But obviously, like all you're saying, you need it to be aggressive, and you need it to be offensive. If I think about BKB... I'm a mid play. It'll be when I'm mid, or one, and it's absolutely a tool where I press BKB, I'm co-op, and I'll blink into 5 enemy heroes, because you pick it up in this 20 to 30 minute mark. You blink into the enemy team. In that period of time, there's no one with right clicks able to 1 to 0 you. They're all reliant on spells at 20 to 30 minutes. Seriously reliant on spells. They can't touch you. You're on top of them. You kill them, all because of BKB. Like it isn't anything defensive.
It's so funny that it has a defensive mindset when really it enables you to be like uber offensive. If it was a defensive item, why do pro Drows go something like Dragonlance BKB, or like maybe you do Manta BKB or something like that? You know, it's like because she does enough damage. All she needs to be able to do is to be able to do the damage. So buy the BKB, and it lets you actually cast your spells and right click. It's pretty funny that it has that connotation. It's the same thing where sometimes we're like, you get the health talent over a damage talent. It's like, but I'll do less damage. But you'll stay alive like 10 seconds longer, so you actually do more net damage that way. It's the same idea with the BKB. It's like, oh, wow, I don't get stun locked? Amazing.
But also, put it this way, how many games have you seen that you've lost because someone went BKB instead of a different item? I could probably count that on like 2 fingers. And I played thousands of games. How many games have I seen lost because someone didn't buy BKB and instead went luxury items? My word, how long do you have? Like, that's the thing. It's you never lose because you went BKB. Do you know what I mean? It's just not something that happens. Obviously, that's hard to say, but in general, that's such a truism. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, absolutely true. Another interesting example similar to BKB. It's one that Dynamic has inspired me about because we were playing some party and there was an enemy Shadow Fiend, and now I build this item a lot more. Aeon Disc. And I've been building Aeon Disc as my mids, e.g. Puck, or I've built it on Wind Ranger, because the game, 30 minutes on, often there's been a Shadow Fiend. It seems really common these days for some reason. Or, say, a Morph. And I've built Aeon Disc, which is the most defensive item, one of the most defensive items in the game. But what does it let you do? Well, it lets you play out on the map in a fearless manner, because you know it's going to save you. And so you can play out hard in the waves or the lanes, and you can play without fear, and you can play more aggressive, because it gives you that lifeline that without it, I would just feed deaths.
Yeah, totally. Also, really good versus Nyx as well, which is about
someone like Nyx. Yeah, it's this backwards way of thinking that these defensive items enable you to be more offensive, and I feel like it's really true that when you're ahead, you build these defensive items. You pick up the raindrops. If you crush mid, pick up the raindrops, and you will never die, and you will never let that elastic band happen. If you're ahead by the BKB or even the Aeon Disc, I mean, that's a bit more intense. But yeah, and to me, when you're behind, that's calling for the more greedy plays or the greedy items, or what item you're going to get to etch an advantage, give them on the back foot. It is a bit of a mindfuck, but just write on a sticky note, buy BKB if you want to win MMR. If you don't care about winning, and you find it more fun to have a 10 ags for 10 minutes and then lose, fine. But ranked players you expect to want to win. I have a one anecdote on this before we leave it. I had an alchemist in a game recently, and yes, doing great. 10-minute Battle Fury, 11-minute Power Treads, 12-minute Blink. Okay, cool. Then he gets a Basher, about 17 minutes. Okay, cool. 17, 18 minutes we get an Aegis. Wow, fantastic. Then he gets... Alright, is that BKB queued up? Nah, it's not queued up. We'll get an AC. Okay. Right, we've got a Blink, we've got a Basher, we've got an AC. Alright, come on, bro. Let's get this BKB in there. How much does Abyssal cost? Or question, how much does Basher cost? What do you think?
29.
Yeah, I was going to say, 28.
28.75 or something.
29.50. How much does Abyssal Blade cost?
68.75 or something.
I was going to say, 6,400?
6.6, 6625. So, Basher's less than half the price of Abyssal. So, we're an alchemist with Battle Fury Blink, Basher AC. Shall we get the BKB?
It's got such a brutal recipe cost.
So expensive. So expensive. That's the cost of a BKB just to go Vanguard recipe.
Yeah.
And we get the Abyssal. So at 24 minutes, we've got a lot of items, a lot of net worth. And what's hilarious, at about, I think, 20 minutes, Anti-Mage's got Battle Fury Manta. And it's so funny, because Alchemist thinks he's a god, because he's got Blink AC, Abyssal, wow, I'm unkillable. And it's hilarious, because then Anti-Mage, from Mantra Illusion's mana burning him, 64 damage mana burn, his mana from 800 to 0, then mana voiding him, he actually got soloed by an Anti-Mage with 2 items. And because he got locked down, you've got about 7k net worth more than this, what's a useless hero. Anti-Mage is a useless hero before multiple items. And you still got soloed by it. Why? Because you didn't have BKB, and you got stunned, and you got mana burned, and you got ult. It's a joke.
Having played a lot of Alch, you read off that item build, and it's Blink Basher. Man, it's you're asking to die.
Yeah, what?
It's the reason why everybody goes AC next, or Manta AC, or something like that, because without the AC you have no armor, and without the Manta you have no way of dispelling Spirit Vessel or just debuffs and stuff. You have no health or no armor on that hero.
But in this game, he's a competent player. You've got an enemy Shadow Fiend, you've got an enemy Rasta, you've got a Pulse 5 Brew that's just cycloning people, and you've got a Mars with a Blink Spear, and then an Anti-Mage farming. Is you blinking in with a Blink AC going to realise your value and strength potential? No, you just got insta-disabled by numerous things and blown up by the enemy's only magic damage lineup. It's an absolute joke. Yeah. Absolute joke. And the fact he finished his Abyssal, finished his AC, because I think he had a casual Hyperstone, then gets BKB after we've thrown and lost, just genuinely thrown the game, which is utter despair. Honestly.
And he went Battle Fury, not Radiance?
Yeah, 10-minute Battle Fury. Oh, it's crazy that we lost this game.
Yeah, that build is wild.
You can get away with it in unranked to not get a BKB, I don't mind, but if you're playing a ranked game and you think an Alt can get away with not getting BKB, you're really asking for Super Saiyan gameplay in a lot of games.
Yeah. So that's by BKB section, part 1
TLDR,
yeah. Yeah.
Part 2 DLDR is probably by BKB as well, but we'll get there in a different way.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually going to talk about a lesser spotted throw that I had the most egregious example of, but maybe there's a few things to be learnt from it anyway, even if it doesn't pop up as much as buying BKB. And this is throwing with picks and sort of debating yourself into countering the enemies more than you're playing for your own team and picking for your own team. And then we'll talk about some of the more classic throws that we already talked about in the previous ep, like overextending and being patient and stuff like that. But just briefly, the enemy lineup is Tiny, Underlord, Tusk, Tree, PL. So that's the enemy lineup. PL's last picked. So we're looking at Tiny, Underlord, Tusk, Tree. And we've picked I think CM Veno. So we had a first pick offlane Veno, then I picked CM. And the reason I bring this game up is because the guy, our last pick mid, is picking Timbersaw. He's seen the first two of Tree Underlord, I think. He's saying, right, I'm picking Timber. We've got Veno already. And our POS 4 is going to pick his hero. And rather than picking a hero that helps our team, which is stuns, right? Stuns in Dota, pretty good. He picks a hero that's useless for our team, but quote-unquote hard counters the enemy team. He picks Undying, position 4, which is very bad. So, incredible laning. We're crushing the lanes. The game goes exactly as expected. Crushing the lanes. Timbersaw's crushing. Undying's crushing. Veno doing fine. CM great. We have Weaver at Artapos 1, fine. And then after a while, game gets to about 25 minutes. Suddenly this Phantom Lancer, we can't kill anymore. Even though we crushed him in the laning, his laning was awful, his net worth was really bad. But we can't finish because, we don't hit towers very well. So that's one problem with our own lineup. Then the PL gets big enough to the fact where we're going to need some sort of lockdown to kill him. We have none, literally no lockdown. Our only thing that we have is a dispellable root from my W. And so PL basically gets a rampage after being, 0-5 with no farm, gets like a rampage 25 minutes in. And the whole of our team's sitting there thinking, wow, how did we lose this game? We were so far ahead. We were crushing it. We had a Timber that was absolutely unkillable, out of control. We took all of their tier 1s, 2 of their tier 2s. What happened? And we don't need to spend too much time on this because it's not a big throw. But it made me really think that you need to pick for your own lineup so much more than you need to pick for the enemy lineup. And I think you see this in pro games a lot, especially at TI as it gets into later stages. And obviously how relevant that is, perhaps not very relevant to my Divine 1 pubs, but pros will always pick to synergize with their own team. And then if they can also, throw in a counter pick, that's great. And they'll do that if they can get away with it. But you won't see teams just, pick hard counters to the enemies always. It's really important to synergize with your own team. Have you ever seen a lineup with no stuns win a game of Dota? That's a more important question than, shall I pick Undying? Oh my god, they've got 4 strength heroes in PL. So that's just a little anecdote.
Yeah. I think the fact it's POS 4 as well, though, is extra hemorrhaging. That's something we've mentioned before. The idea of synergizing with your team, I think, mostly applies to a 4. If you think about the pro scene, they'll pick it first. They'll blind pick 4s because they've got an idea of strat in mind. And we've said it about picking in pubs. POS 4 really should pick first phase because it isn't a hero to counter the enemy with, because it needs to synergize with your team. If you're going to be this playmaking hero, you're not last picking counter something as a POS 4. So in this game, I think the Timber's an excellent pick, but the POS 4 shouldn't be thinking what smashes the lane. Like you say, it needs to be that synergy pick, and that's what you see the best teams and most competent players do. So there's truth to that, and obviously
Undying doesn't even counter later against PL because he just puts illusions on the tomb and it's over.
Well, it counters the strength heroes, but only in the laning.
Yeah. But he apparently 4 and laned against the PL, right?
It was laning against PL Tree, I guess.
Yeah, he's good against PL in the lane, but later, I would hope my sick counter pick, works a little bit later into the game. And also, if you pick Undying 4, it's fine to lane there, but I would love to have a scaling 5. CM doesn't scale that great.
You're asking for trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
sure you can, but it's hard. Stan's not going bleak BKB, CM.
No. Maybe I should have. Maybe it was my fault for throwing on CM. It's funny, I did say the reason this game is particularly of note is because I said in the picking phase, pick stun, please pick a stun. Both to the Undying, who then picked Undying, and then to Timber, where I was like, look, I know it's the dream Timber game, but you need to not look at the enemies and look at our lineup, and you need to pick a stun, or we're going to lose. And interestingly,
why couldn't he have picked Lesh for, like, that would have been beautiful. It could solve your tower pushing problem and the PL problem.
There you go, man. Lesh 4 was the pick. That's actually, I hadn't even thought of that.
It's so funny, you, like, pick stuns, and he picks the exact opposite hero. Like, Undying has he's just, like, the exact type of opposite of a stun hero. I mean, he's a very awesome hero, and I love him, but it is nowhere close to what you want.
And I think our Veno and our Undying were arguing, because this Undying was saying our Veno griefed the game by picking Veno 3 first pick.
Fair comment.
Well, yeah. I mean, and I think our Veno was saying, look, you picked Undying when we have no stuns, and this guy said he's picking Timber. So that's awful. And he was saying he was typing saying, if you don't understand why I picked Undying, then you don't have a brain. He was like properly backed himself as like, they have, as in his entire reason for picking Undying was entirely predicated on the enemy lineup.
Yeah.
And he thought that was completely reasonable. And so it made me think that's clearly probably a mental misunderstanding that a lot of players suffer from, where they're looking at the enemies. I'm guilty of this as well on mid. When I'm thinking about what mid hero to pick, I'm thinking about what I'm playing against more than what I'm playing with. And I feel like that's bad. Like, that's not good. I think you should be looking at your own team more, and I think that's more important. I worry about the enemies later.
If Dota was a game where, like, you're sitting down with, like, a psychiatrist or a psychologist, and they showed you a lineup of 5 heroes and say, like, what hero do you pick to counter these? Yeah, maybe he won. But you don't play it in a vacuum of one hero countering the 5. It's like, how does that synergize with the rest of your lineup?
It's definitely been heightened as well by the Timber pick, because I think if you only have one of them, and the other hero, the 4, has stuns, or the mid has stuns, your game will definitely have gone better, and maybe forget the point. But yeah, the fact they both just burrowed into this counter pick really shows that you have to have a balanced team. It makes me think that off lane, Veno, Dirge, they actually can't kill anyone because they'll just TP. It's so funny, but they can simply TP and live. It's insane. If that was a 4 Shaker, and that you can follow up Veno with long range stun initiations, you can chain stun, AoE control in the mid and late game. Wow, what a game that would be for Shaker. But yeah, having that little disables is seriously scary. I think having a 3 and a 2 without any lockdown is seriously hard to win fucking games.
And the 1. We have Weaver pos 1.
Who's the 1? Wow, and the 1... Yeah, the 1 probably won't ever have lockdown because Void Sven's not a thing, but yeah, to have 3 cores with no lockdown is, you're really going to struggle.
There's no hope of, like, building it either.
Yeah.
What do you build?
Like, I mean, so, like, your Weaver isn't going to build Abyssal Blade.
Yeah.
And 8
I mean, maybe you go Gleipnir, but it's like, that's so iffy. That's so kind of bad.
Yeah, just not enough.
So, yeah, that's my anecdote about an interesting new grief coming to a game near you, is the pick grief.
A final add-on to that is when someone tells you what hero to pick and it's not a hero you're good at.
Yeah.
And it might be good in theory, but if you're shit at it...
Like when someone tells you to play Lash 4.
Or when someone tells you... Oh yeah, that's funny. Or Nyx, what was mine? Nyx 4? I think I did that once. The Cinderin game.
Oh yeah, that was a great game. You played your rank, biggest compliment you ever got. On
not played Nyx in years. Not played Pos 4 in years. What am I doing?
Let's touch back on some of the things we covered last time we did this, way back, I think 8 months ago or something. And that's the classic throw of overextending and all these other things. We won't go too deep into it because we'd have tons of time and you could do a whole episode. Indeed, we did do a whole episode on it. But we've put in bold here, not being patient enough. And this is the throw, I think. The throw, the biggest, most common way to lose a game from a winning position is not having patience. Marco, I don't know if you want to elaborate on on this. I know this is something that you feel strongly about. So why should I be patient in a Dota game? I'm ahead. Shouldn't I just win? Shouldn't I just go and win, right?
Ideally. People, it can't happen straight away. There are numerous reasons why it can't necessarily happen in the moment you think it can. And I think the majority of cases, you'll think you can win or do something great faster than you actually can. And so these reasons why you might not be able to, obvious one, it should be obvious, but sometimes people are not map aware of their allies. You might not have your team there. I've been in games recently. Guys, I'm coming, and I'm the mid puck, and I've got Blink Dagger on Chick. Like, me being there with a Blink Dagger versus me not being there, or not having Blink Dagger. I mean, these are two very different fights that are going to happen. Yeah. So you might be ahead, but they're two very different fights. So, one for patience is, literally, is your team with you? Is your team ready? Like, you might be ready. You might be ready to engage, jump, dive, fight. But are the other 4 ally members on the same page and equally ready? Probably not. That's one reason. Another reason is the objective side of things. Like, do you have the waves pushed? You need to have waves pushed to take the towers and objectives. If you can win a fight and that's not the case, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't materialize into anything. 3, I think just you are naturally going to be over exuberant, and it's probably going to be in your best interest, particularly in the mid game when things aren't so all or nothing, to take a moment to assess: am I doing the right play? Is this the right go? Is this the right fight? Because the games likely aren't going to be so knife edge that you have to just go like that. I think usually you can kind of wait moments to assess more, or assess with your team if this is the play you're going to do in terms of like making a fight happen or making an objective happen. And then lastly, you've also got the opportunity cost. People aren't patient enough. One that kills me the most is, say, I want to go take the tier 3, and it's, maybe you can get it, or maybe you can't. Let's suppose you can get it, and then it's a question of, can I get any racks? Because as we've discussed, the tier 3 on its own is useless when there's no, you don't need it to get the outpost. So the question is, can I get the racks? And then it becomes this kind of probability of, well, what's the likelihood we can get it? And if we are going to get it, how much resources do we have to give? How much enemies do we have, or bodies do we have to throw? Now you have to start making those judgments and weigh it up against safer alternatives of, well, we've actually got a really good map strategic position. How about we farm the entire map, get all the bounty runes, get all these creep waves, get all these jungle camps, boost our net worth lead by good, 2k XP, 2-3k, and then just approach this high ground objective in literally 1 minute's time. I mean, your 2 cores could probably farm the map in a minute and get back to where you are in a minute. Why is that trade-off really that harmful? 1 minute for just a bit more 2k, 3k more gold XP, more say it's not a fucking big trade-off, so stop being over exuberant.
Yeah. Do you think, Adam, that people's mindset when they're ahead is wrong? We see people force fights, force movements, force objectives so much, and they throw. Because when they're ahead, when teams are ahead, they think, oh, we win the game by killing the enemies. But do you think that's a bit of a bait? And actually, when you're ahead, it's not about just trying to find some game-winning team fight. And actually, that what other things should we be thinking about?
What other things to think about?
Yeah, or when you're ahead, are you thinking about trying to find the game-winning 5v5 moment? I mean, obviously sometimes you are, because sometimes that is the play. But most of the time, I feel like that's a mistake, and it leads to people forcing things too much, overextending, trying to find a fight when, like Marco said, there's all these other things we could be doing.
Yeah, no, I'm mostly thinking about towers. Towers, outposts, taking over their jungle. I mean, the dream scenario is you're just farming their jungle and they have nowhere to go, and then they finally get fed up and they try and get a wave, and you guys are all there. Take a hero and then force a buyback where the goal is to take the fight so close to the enemy's towers that when you win the fight, you're basically forced to take the high ground because, we're already here. Might as well do it.
Yeah.
Type of a thing. It's and no one can question it. As opposed to, we want to fight at mid, we gotta clear 3 waves before we even get to their tier 3, and they respawn by the time we get there, type of a thing.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
I
and
think
also vision as well. Just to throw in another thing to think about.
Yeah,
set up vision in the enemy jungle, enemy areas, and then they really have no way to kill you unless they specifically smoke. And that is something that, you need to be aware about. That's why smoke's in the game. It allows some comeback plays. But if you ward up an area, farm, and get a tower with vision ready, there's really no way for you to get surprised. And then you can do the things what Marco was saying, where you can farm the whole map, get the lanes in, and get more ahead. Like, when ahead, get more ahead. It's not when ahead, end the game. I have another point to make, but it's a little bit off topic, so I don't know if you were going to say something there, Marco, but...
Yeah, if you're ahead, so I suppose you're in a game. I feel like we've had this before, where the enemy stack is like quite a lot better. It's just a unbalanced game, and you think about the way that they beat you when there's clear disparity. From my kind of loose recollections, they're not kind of slaying you unless it's a complete snowball stomp. They're not slaying you every minute, and they're not.
No.
It's not about heroes, like Adam says, it's about objectives, and the way they'll play the game is they'll be relaxed and calm, and they'll just farm the entire map, push out the waves. If you step too far ahead, down a lane, say, they'll punish you, kill you, and they'll go back to farming. In a couple minutes, they'll have the creep wave at a tier 2, and they'll have multiple heroes there, and they'll take it. You can't contest it. They know you can't contest it, and they'll just move around the map like this, farming it, getting the towers, let's get the Rosh. And, okay, they don't do anything to lose the game. I think this is a common mistake of throwing, is you're in the lead, you're in the driving seat, whereby you can extend your lead of XP and gold because of strength of heroes, because of map control, because of map vision. You don't need to kind of make the plays where there's a chance you can throw. It's up to the enemy team to really get back in the game and make the plays and be smart or inventive or calculated to get back in the game. There's no reason for you to try and make that fight or try and make that gank or high ground push happen where there's a chance that you fuck up and give a massive XP gold throw to the enemy team. Like, if there's no reason to do that, why risk doing it? Relax, just play the farm game, wait for that rush, get the tier 2s, chill out. I think, so the other point tied to all this is I do think people just love the fighting. I mean, how can you not? Hero fights are just so enjoyable, chaotic, wow, exciting. It's hard not to love a hero fight, so people do love to seek it out, particularly when they know they're a bit stronger, know they're ahead. It's almost kind of natural that they want to have skirmishes, but in terms of winning a game, watch Secret play. It's so fascinating. Secret, they're kind of the antithesis to OG in the way they win, because when they win and then when they crush these tier 1, tier 2 teams, they have like 10 kills in 20 minutes. They are chillaxed the fuck out, and they just play this objective game style of gonna get we know we're strong, we know you can't kind of kill us or beat us, and we're not gonna throw, we're not gonna do anything risky, we're gonna get our items, take the towers, and they're so methodical about their wins. And honestly, it's so interesting watching them because it's not about heroes when they play. It's all about the strategy and the objectives. And I think if you have more of that in your game, you'll throw less.
Totally, yeah. And just to take another, like, abstract point, like you were talking about Secret, if you put, I don't know, a 7k stack against a 5k stack, or any MMR difference, if you put a better team against another team and say, there's $1 million dollars on the line, you have to win this game.
Yeah, good point.
They will pick a hero, like, whatever, they'll pick some hard carry, doesn't really matter, and they'll farm, and
until the cows come home.
They'll farm, exactly, yeah. And they'll take the game through being better at farming and from, controlling the map and knowing their stuff. They'll just chill, farm to a point in the game where it's like unlosable. What they won't do is fly in, take lots of skirmishes, this randomness factor comes into the game, and then they might lose. It's like what Marco was saying about people loving to fight. When you think of Dota, you obviously think of team fights, you think of heroes fighting heroes. To many people, that's the game of Dota 2, right? It's heroes fighting heroes. So you naturally, you want to do that, but why is gold lead relevant? Why do we use gold lead and XP as a measure for who's ahead in the game? is because Dota's about who has more golden experience, and so if you don't need to fight to have more golden experience than the enemies, then you won't. Like, that's why Secret they don't need to earn their right to farm by winning team fights and skirmishes. That's why they have 10 kills. They just do it because they're better. And when you're not Secret, you're not going to be like Team Secret in your pubs, but the point is here when you're ahead. So when you are at an advantage, not because you're Secret, but because you've got a gold lead and XP lead, what you don't want to do is add loads of randomness factor throwability by trying to fly into speculative team fights. You don't need to. Just from the game state, you already out-farm, and you're winning by out-farming. And then eventually, it's also this debate of the elephant in the room is that ultimately you will need to kill the enemies, but the game is in stages, and that's the final stage. Everything before that is conditioning that final fight, and you don't need to condition that final fight by winning fights throughout the game. You just don't need to do that. That's why we're talking about Team Secret 10 kills. You condition that by getting golden XP.
In terms of that conditioning point and winning the game, if you would say wipe the enemy team, 5-man wipe, wow, amazing, at 20 minutes, in today's patch, that doesn't translate to a throne. At 20 minutes, there's a good chance there's tier 2 still alive. Even if there wasn't a tier 2 alive, and you wipe the enemy team 5 heroes wow in like the middle of the map, and there were no tier 2s, and you pushed down the lane and got to the tier 3, they've respawned, they've now got high ground, they've got glyph. You're not ending the game. Unless you were, like stupidly ahead, which we're not talking about, you wouldn't be able to end the game, and you'd start leaking kills, you start losing farm elsewhere on the map, you start losing objectives, map control, etc. Because you can't close the game out. So why therefore go all eggs into the basket of we need to 5-man wipe the enemy team at 20 minutes when what's that going to get you? It's not going to get you the win. It'd be fun, but there's probably a lot of a safer, sounder, and even just more economically efficient ways to play the game, e.g. objectives, e.g. farm, and keep it steady, keep it chill. A point on this, I don't know if Adam's had what he thinks about this from his RD2L experience, but when I was playing the uni Dota team, and I think this is a reason why scrims or teams or just kind of more formal gaming is so enjoyable but different, the games felt so much more strategic and paced and calculated, and just makes me think, okay, pubs it is more individualistic, but it is also about where's that fun factor, and it's a lot of heroes, and it's a lot of fast paced, and it's exciting. If I think about this uni team experience, it was so enjoyable because it was all about taking that team fight when you want or when you can or should take it. Taking the map movements or getting the items you need, then making this team movement, let's get this control this area of the map, or all very kind of synergized team play, just so much team play, and so much more objective, strategic thinking and emphasis on the game. And I do think at that kind of team scrim level, because obviously a pub's a pub, like everyone's just kind of doing their own thing, there's such a difference, and it's interesting.
I don't know, because your team was all like immortal level players.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's different to your R2DL, but we still didn't play it as if it was a pub that we're just schooling people with.
Oh no,
it was still very much.
I'm just saying the level of execution isn't as good. Like we had strategies and stuff, but it doesn't really.
Yeah, if you've got a varied R2DL team, execution is gonna. Yeah. But like you say, strategies, and I don't know if you had much team play, but I do think in this formal 5-man arrangement, even CM, when we've done it, I feel like there is more strategic gameplay to it. Yes. It's less about the fun hero side of stuff. It is more about what's your timing, what's our team strength, where can we be on the map, like to really optimize your game and increase your chance of winning the highest, as opposed to play a pub where it's lots of fun factors come in it that are not necessarily the best way to win.
Yeah, it's way different. Like pub Dota, you just kind of play it and we happen to win or lose, it feels like. And then with an organized group of people, there's a lot more talking that goes on, which makes it a completely different game.
Yeah, it is a different game, yeah.
Yeah, it's like I was thinking when you're talking about dropping, against like a 7K stack or whatever, how they're going to win the game. Out efficiency is definitely one thing, but then they're not going to let you take a 5-man fight. They're going to pick you off over and over and over again because someone's going to be out of position, and they're just going to go back and forth across the map, picking the one person off to where there's never going to be a full 5-man. Like that happens all the time when you play against high stacks that you feel like are better than you. They always prey upon the one, everyone will show on your team in a lane, all 3 lanes, and okay, we'll just go kill one of them. And then while someone's down, they'll take over the map, and then once that person respawns and TPs back out to lane, they're killing someone else on the other side of the map, and it just rinse repeat, and all of a sudden you're down, 13k. Off of, and it could still be a low kill score game, and it's just they're just picking, it's you can't ever fight full strength.
Yeah, and that comes to another point of the reason that's happening is not because they're thinking, where's the enemy, AM that's weak or that we can kill or whatever. They're just they're seeing what's in front of them. They're taking freebies. They're not smoking, trying to force a play. It's more reactive, and that's another thing that you feel when we play against stacks that are better than us. It feels like they win the game without doing anything. They don't do anything crazy special. And it's like Secret, they win with 10 kills, right? They don't do anything special. They take what's in front of them. And like Adam was saying, you're never going to 5-man the enemies if they're better than you unless it's on their terms. Oh, you want to push a tier 2 with 5 heroes? That's not really, that's not meant to happen 15 minutes into a game. Okay, we'll take this 5-man because it's going to be advantageous to us. It's not them thinking, oh, let's force a 5-man, or let's force a pick-off. Let's smoke, try and find someone, or let's run to find this weak hero. It's, oh, this hero's out of position. We'll react to that and win. And that's something that I've been thinking about a lot recently as well, is trying to be more of a reactive player. At least in the early and mid-game portion. That's going to be a lot more fruitful to you in the sort of circus of pub Dota than it is trying to be proactive and forcing plays, because that's when bad stuff happens, when you're forcing the issue.
It is, it is this weird balance, because we always say be proactive, and then we always say be reactive and not too overly eager, and there is this middle ground, but I think, because of this hyper, we love fighting, I think most players will edge too far to the exuberant side and try and make things happen too much. When you say the term reactive, I feel like I get where you're coming from. I feel like it doesn't grasp the entire essence, because I feel like these reactive plays, say you're this really good team against a lesser team, they'll react to mistakes that you make, but they'll also force you to make those mistakes. Well, not force you, but like we say, if you're pushing out a lane on the worser team, and then you get picked off because the better team recognise you're out of position, therefore it's a kill we can take. They've had to have done certain preconditions to make that mistake, air quote, happen. They had to have pushed the lane out. They then had to be in the right place on the map, in this kind of vulture area of the map where they know if enemy team comes here, we can get kill, no risk or reward. So they are smart about it, so there is some level of proactivity. Again, not sure if that's the right word. They're more just playing the game. I mean, they're just hitting creeps, pushing creeps. They're being positioned in the correct places, say in the side of a lane, waiting for an enemy to come, or on a high ground, waiting for someone to come. It is, to me, shoving creep waves and then being positioned in the right place. You will then lead to free opportunities, because the enemy team will have to make a mistake, or they will make a mistake. You capitalize. So there is game knowledge required here, and maybe that is a hard part about it, that the better team will know the steps they need to take in the near future to get to that winning point, so that they'll kind of maybe more contently go, let's be relaxed and just farm and push and get this map control on this map vision, because we know in 10 minutes time we'll then meet our win condition get the 3 kills we need for the high ground push or whatever. Maybe at other levels, people aren't as aware of the future that much, or as aware of what they need to do or want to do in 5-10 minutes time. So it's kind of harder for everyone to do that. But having said that, I still think lower down the ranks, you're still against an enemy team of comparable skill. And I do think the message of being a bit more relaxed and not forcing that fight, not forcing that high ground until you're really confident that it's the right thing to do because you're in position, because you've got the map control, because you've got the items, because you've got all your freaking team there. Wait for those basic criteria and then take it. And yeah, I think at every level, people will be rushing it and they just need to relax a bit more. I see it in my pubs as well, like 2 heroes at the enemy mid tower and like, guys, your team's not with you, like just relax, just let the game play out. Wait for the really clear-cut not chances, but like obvious goes and the obvious objectives. Yeah. You don't need to play it risky.
Yeah, totally. I think the game knowledge comes in understanding different situations better. I think in lower MMR games, it wouldn't be unreasonable for someone to see a one-team fight where the enemy were in a choke, or you fought around Roche and caught them off guard or something that to us and to more experienced players would be like a really obvious, that's why the fight was so well. But they would see that fight, see that it goes well, and then think that if they can just replicate that fight while they're pushing high ground, they'll win the game. But that's a crazy thing to think, but that's something that would be thought, not understanding the different situation of we're pushing high ground, they can see all of our heroes and they're all behind a tier 3 tower and we can't see them. Understanding like the equivalent gold and XP value of that is crazy. That's like 10k worth of value right there versus some fight that's set up in a really favourable way to you. So that's understanding situations, I suppose. And
that would be understanding the high ground push situation of, okay, given our heroes, given their heroes, how easy or how hard is a high ground push? Because in some games you could be like slightly ahead and the enemy team's just got shit heroes that you mow down the towers. And you can actually do it with 5 heroes alive on each side. In some games, you absolutely need to have found 1 or 2 kills before you could achieve that high ground push.
Yeah.
And so, you're saying that if you didn't appreciate or don't appreciate that situation, you could find yourself in a right.
I mean, that's the classic throw. That's the classic force. Is we just won a fight or something just went well for us. Therefore, we'll just do it again without thought of. And then, walk up a high ground to try and make it happen, or walk into somewhere where you have no vision to make it happen, i.e. not having the context in your brain of what just went well for you. So, yeah. Any final thoughts on throwing in Dota?
I had a game where I threw because I didn't click on a hero late game. But
I mean, I can vibe with that.
Yeah.
What information did you miss?
Cheese. Anti-mage against a Pango, and I blinked in, and I was like, I got him, and then he cheesed, and he said, call an ambulance, but not for me. And I was like, no.
Click Heroes. Re-listen to the Habits episode. Click Heroes. Yeah. Look at the clock and all that good stuff. Yeah,
I think that's really interesting. I know we're at the end, but I think that...
No, go for it.
I won't go into them, but just name drop the targeting of spells and of items, to me, can be a really big way of throwing. I'm thinking of, obviously, we've talked about BKB in a previous episode. We talked about using BKB wrong. It's a bit harsh to call it a throw, but things like who do you hex, who do you stun, who do you initiate on, when do you use
who do you doom?
The Yules, who do you doom? Like these choices, and particularly in the later stages of a game when it is a bit more all or nothing. Those kind of choices of hero targeting or timing of item use choices definitely, I think, can throw games or decide games. Like if you initiate on that support, blow all your spells and items to get the pods 5, and then you're useless and die. That's a classic to me. You wasted all your resources on the wrong target.
It comes under the banner of not being patient enough often as well. I know in my games, a team fight happens, panic, oh my god, team fight, oh my god. And you fly in and you use all your spells and your items almost on the first target that presents himself.
Yeah.
Because you're just, you're like, oh, this is it, I need to do everything, I need to use all of my things. And so it comes under that banner of just be patient and know what you want to do in a fight. Like, know the enemy hero exactly like you say, that you want to hex, that you want to doom, that you want to use your spells and items on. And then execute that in the team fight if you can. So again, just a bit of patience, a bit of presence of mind.
Yeah, I do think I really love the patience point as a great tip. No, I don't know if it's a tip. It's just kind of a truism for every level, that taking a bit more time, being a bit more patient. The relax chat wheel is my new favorite. I've got it set now, so it's easy to use. I'm all the time just saying relax, just bide your time. Don't take those risky plays that aren't actually going to be that worthy. So yeah, think about risk, think about reward.
Well, there you go. That's episode 131 in the books. I look forward to your throwing in the week. I look forward to some nice throws for myself. I'll let you know about it next week. And until then, have a final whistle.